What's up, everybody? I'm Coach Dave, and I lift.
I'm Coach Cameron, and I lift.
Welcome, welcome to the She Lifts, He Lifts podcast. What happened to Carol? No.
What happened to Carol?
So Carol had some family stuff that she needed to deal with. So Cameron was gracious enough to fill in, and I really appreciate it. We love having
matching shirts.
Yeah, that's.
We didn't plan it.
This was not planned. This all came together very quickly. So the reason one of the so tonight we're back. It's episode 45. So that's right. We talk about 5 things each. We pose a question, and the question I posed initially, maybe this is why Carol's not here because she's perfect. Could be. Are things that we personally need coaching on, not just because one of the things that I've found somewhat recently in my career is that everyone looks at me and thinks that, oh, it's so easy for you because you've been doing it so long. But no, not everything when it comes to fitness is easy for me. Like, yeah, going to the gym is kind of easy because I work there. I'm obligated to be there.
There's an obligation.
Right. That part of it's easy for me. But remember, I was 270 pounds at one point. So for me, like, nutrition was hard at one point, and still to this day is somewhat hard. So we're going to talk about some things. So we each came up with 5. So I'm going to let Cameron get us started.
Are we starting at the bottom?
We're starting at the bottom. We usually go from number 5 to number 1.
All right. So this one's kind of based specifically for my lifters. One of the things that I would coach people on is stop counting your reps. And what I mean by that is a lot of times I watch people go through movements and it's like, 12. And you see them kind of throw it down and I got another 12 to do and I got another 12 to do. When you're lifting, and again, this is for the lifters that are looking to increase muscle growth or shape to the muscle, think about it. That first one should be 12 with a couple left in the tank. You should be able to get it. And then you're like dialing in. Can I add a little more weight? I don't need to get 12. If I even just got 10, dialing in on that, that's great. Then you kind of say, am I doing 3 sets or am I doing 4 sets? If I'm doing 4 sets, I'm going to try a little more. Can I dial in? Maybe I only need 8 reps this time. Dialing in, getting a little more. And then I might lighten it up and go for a 12 again. But again, just counting, I did 4 sets of 12. Did you really accomplish 4 good sets of 12, or was it just like moving through? Should you have increased a little bit of weight? Should you have moved around? So this one is specifically for people that lift weight and go through progressions. I just constantly see people, I got through 12, and then you'll see the motion and it's just moving through it, and you're not really getting what we call mechanical failure, or again, leaving that 1 or 2 in the tank so you've got a little bit of room. Leg extensions is a good one. You just watch people swing on through them, finding that connection. Have you changed your tempo? So again, not just always coming in doing 3 sets of 12 in that mindset.
One of my favorite online personalities, Jeff Cavalier, he actually says, he says, stop counting the reps and make the reps count.
Yes.
And I really like that because I think you're right. A lot of people just do, and they get that number in mind. I always tell my clients that when it comes to that is if I write 12 on the paper and you fail at 10, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And it's hard because I know when we start people off, especially like on a circuit, you've never been in a gym before, and we're giving you numbered equipment to make it easy. You've got a little chart and you're going to do 3 sets of 12 and everything. That's how you start. But again, this isn't for that person that's just looking for mobility and movement and to get up off the couch. This is for that person that's lifting and they want to see increase in size, and they constantly complain, or we're so mentally focused on, I have to bench 350. So again, it's just kind of dialing into, again, mechanical failures and leaving a few in the tank. You don't have to max out all the time. It doesn't have to be to failures. It's, again, I get to 10 and I'm like, I got 2 more in there, but I'm going to try for a little more weight and kind of peel down off of it.
One of my number 5 is cooling down after my workout. Okay, and whether it's stretching, whether it's taking 10 minutes and walking at a slower pace on the treadmill after I've done a high intensity cardio
session. Let me guess, you coach it really well.
Oh, absolutely. And you're absolutely right. Like,
but we don't heat our own.
So, and again, this is my excuse, and I'm going to throw this out there. A lot of times, I fit my workout in, and then I go right back so I can hurry up and throw my lunch down and get to my next client or whatever task I have to do next. Rather than saying, all right, could I have done 1 less set of something? Could I have done that? And again, walked on this treadmill or stretched or something. when I'm done my session, I usually end my session with a stretch
Okay.
with my one-on-one sessions, and I will, and or if we've done a cardio session, I was like, all right, go walk for 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we've done leg day, sometimes I'll have them get on the treadmill or the bike for 10 minutes just to get some motion back in those legs
Right.
after we've done some heavy weights on that. It is great for recovery. It will make you slightly less sore. It is great for mobility. Not that I have too terrible mobility issues, but
You're
the
still young. I said that out loud.
you're not that much older than me,
I know, but we're still young.
right? Um, that so stretching, it's sort of the one thing that does I put off to the wayside, and if I had a coach, like that would be the thing I think
Okay.
he would hit me.
All right.
Number 4.
For me, it's meal timing. The older I get, the more hormone imbalance we have, especially in women and female. And I used to be the person that was just like grab food when I could
Mm-hmm.
because it was time or whatever. And I have found, and this is something that I push and encourage people to do, is to time your meals. And what I mean by that is breakfast needs to be around the same time, lunch needs to be around the same time, dinner needs to be around the same time. And you need to eat them. Again, you have hormones in the body, ghrelin and lipin. Lipin, is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
Lipin. Um, they teach you, they're the signals to tell you that you're hungry or you're not hungry. And again, you're starting to mess with your hormones when you just sporadically eat, or you let it go for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and you're not in a true fast. You're just going. And this would be my problem. I'd get in here in the morning and I'd start working and I would not be hungry, so I thought, until I got to a certain point of the day. Then you're ravaged.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're like, oh my God, I missed breakfast, I missed lunch, I gotta eat, I gotta
Mm-hmm.
eat. That is really bad for your hormones as we get older, because again, it's training and things like that. So I'm a big promoter of timing meals and not just saying like it has to be at 9:05. Like I'm saying, give yourself a window, but breakfast
Right.
needs to be done every day at this time. Lunch needs to be done every day at this
Right.
time. And again, I mean, I come from the fitness industry. I've been in it for 22 years owning a gym. And we've gone through many things, fasting, grazing, graze all day. Well, that as you get older doesn't work because your body needs rest and digest. It needs to know when it's supposed to be digesting and when it's supposed to be resting. And if you're constantly keeping it eating, especially as we get older and the women with their hormones, that's not as good for us.
It's funny.
There's no signal that we're hungry or we're full.
It's funny that this continually comes up, because I want to say in the last 3 or 4 episodes that we've talked about nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about this.
Well, and Carol, I mean, Carol is
Mm-hmm.
our age,
Mm-hmm.
and so again, we're hitting those hormonal humps of life
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, oh, all the crap we did when we were 30,
Oh
20,
yeah.
it just doesn't work anymore. And here's the thing, you just have to realize you're in a new season and let's get the new thing working.
One of the big things with meal timing for me is I find that if I wait, like you said, if I wait too long, I'm ravenously
Oh,
hungry,
yes.
and I'm more apt to stray from my meal plan.
Sure.
If I wait too long, and I'm gonna whatever is gonna be closest, which
Mm-hmm.
is usually something that's not healthy.
Of course, yeah.
Little.
Or just too much of good things. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Right.
again, we can eat too much of good things. It's too many calories.
And I think even the hormonal issues for women and for
Mm-hmm.
men come into play, but also I think digestive issues. When you start, this is something I said recently, because if you go into eating once a day and you are eating healthy, let's say
Mm-hmm.
you can do that once a day and eat a healthy meal.
Yeah.
Think of the amount of chicken, rice, and broccoli it would take to get a whole day's worth of calories.
Oh,
in.
sure, yeah. You'd be eating a lot, and your gut
Uh-huh.
has to try to do all the work
Right.
and everything. Yeah, no, and again, going to the gut health, we do know. I mean, there's scientific proof that you have two brains. One's your gut, one's your brain.
Right.
And that gut, it and the brain. So the two brains work together to release the hormones and everything like that. So they are. It's an interesting system, and the more we learn about it, the better it gets.
Number 4 for me is an idea of doing cardio versus conditioning.
Okay.
And they are two different things. Okay. So cardio is your zone 2, your steady state, walking on the treadmill or running on the treadmill, depending on your fitness level, riding your bike, on your elliptical. And then conditioning is VO2 max type training, getting your heart rate way up for short bursts of time, being ready for me specifically for jiu-jitsu, When I am actively training for my tournaments. And by the way, guys, I'm going to throw this out there. These are, like I said, these are things I need coaching on because they're a lot of the things that I do when I'm training and that for a tournament, and then when I go to sort of quote unquote the rest of the time, that I just sort of let them fall by the wayside because I don't at that point I think they're not important and I don't have that extra motivation for it. But they are the conditioning. One of the more recent studies they have shown that one of the greatest markers for longevity is your VO2 max. So you should find a way to put some sort of a high intensity being relative to your fitness level, training in at least once, if not twice a week. And I get too caught up in lifting weights, walking on the treadmill or getting on the elliptical afterwards. Maybe I'll go and hit heavy bags or your box master here in the gym at Model A. But I don't do true conditioning. I don't do enough to get my heart rate up that much. And I think that is one thing that if I had another thing that if I had a coach there saying, all right, time to do mountain climbers superset with battle ropes and an 800-meter row, I might be a little further along in my fitness journey.
Okay.
All right, number 3.
So for me, I called it "Don't overhaul everything." We try to overhaul everything at once, and I need people to remember. I said this in a video I did yesterday. Our body is like a house. We're building a house, and you have to start at that foundation. And I think when people start into fitness, they tend to go, I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. I'm going to eat healthy foods. I'm going to bring all the healthy foods in the house. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to drink anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to do. And they just start loading up all these things they're not going to do anymore. We need to start remembering that we need to make sure that we are doing the simple things. Dave talked about cardio, the daily walk. I mean, everybody should be doing a daily walk. And a lot of people don't realize that it comes down to your lymphatic system and your heart. You know, they say 10,000 steps a day approximately. Again, if you're a senior, it's going to be a little lower, is required for good heart health. Well, guess what? It's also really good for your lymphatic system because your lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. So your lymphatic system has to go through vibration. You need those steps. If you're sitting on the couch, you do not have a vibration. So you need those daily steps. We have to give those positive influences. Again, that daily walk is going to work on your HPA, which is your hypothalamic, pituitary, and your adrenal axis. And again, think of your nervous system. And your nervous system, when you think about it, I want you to think of stress response. All right, so calming the body, getting that stress response down. Women, cortisol levels. A daily walk will do you wonders. If you're someone that, you know, you're busy and you can't get to walk outside, a gentle walk on the treadmill is the same. Getting the 10,000 steps is the same. Again, we're just not looking for it to be cardiovascular, like he was saying, VO2 maxes and things like that. It just needs to be a nice, gentle. Looking at your sleep schedule, looking at your screen time, looking at the foundation rather than going after the first floor and the second floor at once.
Or the 10th floor.
Or the 10th floor.
And
yeah.
That's a big thing I see a lot of people do is like, oh, I saw that. And go back to your thing about meal timing. Oh, meal timing. When should I eat? Give me the times I should eat. Dude, you're eating once a day and you're eating mostly fast food. Like,
right.
Whenever you want to eat, but eat these right things before we start getting into the nuances of the mealtime.
I agree. And I will also extend on this. I do know there's personalities out there that if they don't go all or nothing, they're not going to do anything.
Right.
And I get that. So you have to remember, like, we're coaching like this big ball right here, but there's some outside parameters because I've been kind of challenged by that. Well, I'm the person that has to change it all, or okay, you're that 1%.
Right. I would say that is I was going to say 5%, but that is definitely the minority.
Because again, remember, like, I've been doing this for over 22 years. It's habits now. And like my video about postures and things, and we're going to come up, your body creates habits and then they go into the subconscious brain. You have a conscious and a subconscious brain. So again, these habits you're creating, if you're creating them too fast, they're not getting retained. No retention.
Number 2. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm on number 3. Mixing it up for me. And when I say mixing it up, like I just said, I get too caught up in lifting weights. I like to lift weights. I like
I won't.
lifting
I
heavy.
won't. I won't shun you for that.
I won't shun me for that either. But one of the things, so like I'll get caught up in the same split. I'll get caught up in a push pull legs full body day,
Mhm.
push pull legs full body day, and I'll stay on that for 6 8 months. When really, all right, maybe I should stay on that for 6 to 8 weeks, and then maybe change my split up a little bit, or at least very least change the exercises that I'm doing. Yes, your foundation, I believe, should always be your compound lifts, your heavy, your bench presses, your squats, your deadlifts, rows, and overhead presses. However, the accessory movements that you do, the variations that you do, are you still doing your bench press with the same amount of weight? Are you pushing the weight? Are you pushing the tempo? Are you changing the tempo? Or are you changing a different type of resistance? Are you doing it in a different are you sticking with a flat bench or are you throwing in an incline back
Mhm.
there? Maybe you need to get off the bench for a week or two, and I'll get to this. This will actually come up in number two, and get on the chest press machine where you're not using your full body and are isolating your chest more to get it to grow. That is a thing for me is I really do enjoy the process of lifting weights.
Mhm.
And I do. There are times when I have to dial it back and stop going for strength, stop going, or vice versa. I get caught up in getting ready for jujitsu, and then when it's time to go back to lifting heavy, I'm like, but I'm going to do 15 reps in superset with mountain climbers on a medicine ball. Like, I get used, you get used to it, and it's the law of inertia. For those who are familiar with physics, means an object in motion tends to stay in motion. We are resistant to change as human beings. For some of us are. Some of us want to change everything all the time. Most of us though want to sort of get into a habit because it's familiar, it's
Mhm.
easy, and
Sure.
we develop those habits. But periodically, it needs to be changed up. And if you want to continue to see, because your body adapts. That's the whole science behind fitness. Whether it's getting bigger, getting smaller,
Mhm.
is your body adapting to a stress that you are putting on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you
No.
have to change that stress from time to time. Now, the one caveat I'm going to say, if you're listening to this, do not change it week to week. That's not what we're talking about. But 4, 6, 8 weeks tops, and then change it up in some way.
Good to go.
Number two.
So mine is ingredients and food matter. Um, I I just feel I hear um, people don't care anymore. They really just food shop to eat to, and they're just like, if I told you that your child has ADHD and if you eliminated red food dye, did this and did that, you don't do it. I've helped so many people, or at least I've tried to help so many people to the point that I just don't give this knowledge anymore. Ingredients matter. All of the food matters. Spaghetti sauces. Go down and look at the aisle. You can find one with 40 ingredients, or you can find one with 6 ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
Those ingredients matter. I think we scroll through Facebook and like we see it, but we don't. There's so much information there. We don't know whether to take it to heart or not. Caramel coloring is hard. We can go through a laundry list, but food is important to the body. It is our source, and I really feel like ingredients and food matter a lot, and people are not looking. So if I was going to coach someone, I would be coaching ingredients in food.
I I agree, and you and I have had personal discussions on this topic to well, a lot.
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot of things set up against us when it comes to that.
There is, and I think in the world of politics,
Uh,
everybody thinks you're going down a political rant. Well, I hate to break it to you, it all falls in their lap at the end of the day.
well, that's true.
You
That's
know,
true too. Yeah, no matter which side of the
right?
aisle
It
you're
doesn't
on.
matter. It's
Exactly. Yeah.
it's it. There is a problem. The FDA is it. When you put the food and drug together, food and drug.
Right.
Yeah, we've got stuff working against us, and I think people need to be a little more aware.
Number two for me is going back to where mixing it up. There, deloading.
Hmm.
I want to keep pushing myself. I want to keep pushing myself, and then I'll end up sore, tired, and I'm thinking I'm eating right. I haven't had a cheat meal for 3 weeks. Why am I feel tired? Well, the answer is because I'm constantly pushing my weight, and I'm not giving my body a chance to recover. And whether it's deloading, taking a rest day, sometimes I have a really hard time taking a rest day. For me, a lot of times working out is my mental release.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I don't want to skip that mental release. There are days when I have planned to work out, even if it's just to do a cardio session,
Mm-hmm.
and something will happen and I don't get there. Now, I will say I am pretty good about keeping those days few and far between, but I get grumpy, and I shouldn't.
You need yoga.
I do need yoga. I really that is something I definitely I need some yoga or some meditation or something in that regard. But that is a thing, and if you take a deload week where you perform your exercises, maybe you perform the same set of exercises and lighten up your weight, change your volume, change something to make it easier on yourself. Going back to Cameron, you've been pushing your sets of 12 where you've been failing at 8, 10 reps in the third and fourth sets. Go to a weight where you can complete all 12 sets and make sure that your form is on point and your range of motion is good. Take that week, let yourself heal. Trust me, it was a hard concept for me to grasp
Mm-hmm.
at first. Once I did it, it works wonders.
So how I set my training up,
Good.
I set up a 12-week program. My first week is acclimation. I'm not trying to move big weight. I'm just trying to move weight clean. Every rep counts. Everything is, I can get all sets of 12. Okay. Second week is where I'm starting to nudge the numbers because I
Mm-hmm.
do track my numbers. I mean, I'm watching. And then over the progression, all of my weeks, I'm trying to gain that strength, And then I give myself on the 12th week a break. Everything strips down to very light. It's just mobility and motion,
Mm-hmm.
getting proper form back, tip top and everything. And then, or I add a lot of yoga that week,
Mm-hmm.
or I just do some more casual walks or whatever. I just always am moving. And then I start another whole new 12-week program. So then I start over, all new movements. The first week is easy in my mind, but I'm getting through everything. I feel like a good workout. It feels like a good stretch. I'm really working on my mobility, and then I start tearing it and getting it loaded again, and then I take my week off. Hello.
Um, do you write your own programs?
Yes.
I have stopped doing that.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the things that sort of led me down to realize where this was
Mm-hmm.
is I actually asked a guy that I used to work with. I said, "Hey, can you write me a program?" And he did. He wrote me a 6-week program, and then he said on week 7, go back to week 1, only do 75% of the weight that you
Mm-hmm.
did.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What? Why?" And when I did, I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is
It
great."
changes it up.
So now I'm starting to recruit various people that I know. I've asked Matt Wilson to do one for
Mm-hmm.
me. I plan on probably actually plan in a couple weeks here. Actually, going to ask Deidre to do one for me.
Yes.
Because the other part of that is I will not program exercises that I don't want to.
Right.
So
Sure.
number 1, let's go ahead. Tell the big one.
Oh, so for me, it's posture, stretch, and mobility. And I had a video that I did yesterday, again, talking about the foundation. I think we sit at computers, we're on our phones, and like this posture just comes forward. I call it a locked and loaded, where you lock your knees back and you load your hips forward and then you slouch. So many people, moms, they put babies up on their hips and they just load their hip over to the other side to hold stability. Well, one IT band's getting super long and one IT band's getting super short, which is then going to affect your hips. Your shoulders are kind of cattywampus and you're always wondering why everything on you hurts. So again, posture, stretching in the morning, moving around and getting things done, noticing or knowing the difference between dynamic stretching and static stretching. Prior to my workouts, I will take a good 10 minutes of doing dynamic warm-ups. It's movements. It's nothing static where you're holding a stretch. I'll take that and do that in the after portion of mine. Building that foundation, making sure you have mobility. If you have not read this book, it's one that I always recommend, Built to Move. They're phenomenal trainers in there. The sit test, the stand up and sit down test, all these things you should be able to do. And most people can't. You see people shuffling their feet, their hip flexors are tired, their shoulders are tired, all of it. So again, huge number one thing for me is posture, stretching, and mobility.
So my number one, I'm going to get a little personal.
Ooh,
More
personal.
personal. But first, let me go into the mobility thing. You are absolutely right. There are too many people that come into the gym, and I have gotten in the last probably year, we're very big on mobility screening.
Mhm.
Um, that is something that I think if your first session with your trainer where they don't have you squat, lunge, push up, put your shoulders against the wall, lift your shoulders over your head, do some sort of a functional mobility screen to see test your range of motion. I just want to throw you under the bar. That is something
Yeah.
you really should be cautious about. Even if you are going to your trainer thinking you are athletic
Right.
and in shape and just trying to improve something somewhere along the line, or um I will give the trainer a pass if they are exclusively training like, you know, uh competitive bodybuilders
Okay.
and someone's been competing for years. You they might get a pass, but for the most part, even people who train athletes
Oh,
get
mobility's huge for them. Yeah.
oh yeah, absolutely. And you would be shocked. I'll be honest with you. So recently, so I train a lot of older children, like
Yeah.
13,
Hmm.
14 young teenagers. I've had, all right, when I'll do the lunge test, most people when I do a lunge, they'll come down into the lunge, come back, and they'll want to go right in the next lunge. I go back to standing. Kids nowadays, they go do a lunge, then they take 2 steps and do another lunge, and then take 2 steps and do another lunge.
Hmm.
I'm like, where? And I said to someone, I was like, well, after it happened a couple of times, I'm like, where did you learn to do that? And he said, oh, that's how coach wants us to do them. I'm like, no, no. I was like, you coach, you can do it when you're on the soccer field.
Right.
That's one thing. But when you're here, you come down,
Take
you
two
come back
steps.
up to standing,
Hmm.
and then you
Go
go
right
again.
in. Yeah.
You go into the next one. Yep.
Hmm.
So for me, number one,
And this one's
this
personal,
is
right?
very personal
Personal.
because it's something that I'm going to say as recently as a few months ago, I kind of had to step back and take a look at and think, do I really have a problem with this? And this is binge eating.
Okay.
I I've talked very openly about my journey with not only weight loss with mental health on this show before. Um, One of the things that I do, a lot of my memories from my happy memories from when I was a kid are based around food. My grandmother was Italian. We always had Sunday dinner.
Okay.
Friday nights at my house was always eat out night. So it was either pizza or Chinese food or subs or something like that. I developed a taste, and some would argue an addiction to those foods.
Okay.
And sometimes when I get because I don't eat them often. I don't eat
Hmm.
McDonald's but once a month. I eat pizza. Pizza I love. I love me some pizza. That's like my favorite food. I probably eat that close to once every other week. Sweets, I will eat if they are there. They are not my favorite. But when I do, I
How do you
tend to
do that?
what? Sweets?
Sweet's not your favorite?
There, I don't not like them, but like if you had a chocolate chip cookie and a hamburger fresh off the grill with bacon, cheese, lettuce, tomato, and
Oh, that's
barbecue
two different
sauce.
worlds.
Exactly. I'm
Gosh.
gonna go right
I
for the bacon cheeseburger.
I do them both.
I mean, in the perfect world, yes, but I'm saying you have to
Okay,
get
okay.
one.
Well, you're talking about binging.
Well, and that's so, but that's the thing is, you're right. I would go for both.
Hmm.
And I would go for both, and then I would probably go and eat a bag of chips and drink a 20-ounce soda to wash it all
Right.
down, and God knows what else. Some of that is because I do have a faster metabolism, and it's time for me to eat. But the bigger part of it is I want to in that small window that I used to give myself. I want to eat as much as I can. One of the things that I have learned to do is this. We always talk about 80-20 or 90-10
Hmm.
or whatever it is. I broke this down. If you eat 5 times a day, which is pretty much what I do, that's 35 meals a week. I get 2 on a regular week, 3 on a holiday week, where I'm going to eat whatever someone else either we order, and then I keep it to a normal sized, not necessarily calorically,
Hmm.
because we know that a lot of that food is condensed, but at least a normal portion size thing. And that is one of the things that it took me some coaching and some things to get it, because there 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 is sort of this outside of the fitness realm mentalities, one of these sort of outside looking in mentalities where, oh, if I eat good all week and then I eat whatever I want on the weekends, that's 90% of the time. Well,
Right.
is it though?
It's
Because
not. Yeah.
it's really not. And really,
Because you can fit like
uh,
17, 18, 19 meals in a
is that
Saturday and a Sunday. Friday night, Saturday and
right?
Sunday.
Yeah, I'm saying that's assuming you
Yeah.
start on Saturday,
Yeah.
not Friday night. Yeah, you'd be surprised what I can eat in the course of a weekend. Um, but that is really something I think. Not only do I struggle with, I also see that a lot with my clients. Is oh, I was really good. I was really good. And another thing that I don't like about that binge eating is we tend to do the save calories thing.
Yeah. I don't do that.
Yeah, and that's
I'll
a bit,
shave calories.
shaving calories and saving calories are not the same thing. So
Right.
like the idea of shaving and saving, just to give you guys an example, like if say I know Thanksgiving is coming up
Hmm.
where I'm definitely gonna overindulge. I'm still gonna eat my normal meals. Now maybe I will eat, instead of, if I, let's say, on my meal plan had whole grain, a burger on a whole grain bun,
Hmm.
on a real whole grain bun. That's
Hmm.
another episode. But a real whole grain bun, and maybe I'll take it off the bun this time.
Yeah. Well, like today is my chicken cheesesteak at Bongusto's day,
Ooh.
and I get that once a month. Um, so today, I know that's going to be higher fat because there's cheese on it. I know they've done it on a grill. My carbs are through the roof, but it's a leg day for me. I have some things kind
Right.
of calculated in there, and I just shave out my carbs throughout the other parts of the day. So after my workout, I was able to get my quick carbs that I always have. And then these will be my own, like, I won't have carbs with dinner tonight. Like, it's going to be very, very minimal. I'll kind of shave them away from the other meals.
What do you do for quick carbs?
So for me, you mean after my
Mm,
workout? A Rice Krispie treat sometimes. I eat Belvitas. Sometimes it's oatmeal. So
okay. Just curious. That's a question I've been asking people who do the quick carb thing after the
yeah,
workout.
I
I
I
I do a
love
supplement. I'll be honest.
Belvitas.
I do a supplement most of the time. I
Yeah,
have a powdered
right.
carb that I use.
Yeah, I like, in a sense, that is the sweetness that I like and
Mm-hmm.
crave, and it settles me for the rest of the day. Depending on, I have two different types of pancakes that I make. One is a very low carb pancake, and one's a high carb pancake that I can eat after my workouts. So it might be that one. I
Is
might take a little bit of a banana,
is
just
that your
depending.
feast mode pancakes? Yeah, those are good. If you like Kodiak,
Buckwheat
check out feast mode. Cameron
caked
sells it
up, yeah.
caked up. It's by feast mode though, right?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
by feast mode. Yeah, we
Um,
sell them here at the gym.
check it out. We sell them here at Model A. If not, you can get it
Good
online. Correct?
ingredients, buckwheat.
And
So,
again, that is one of the things, like you said,
looking at the
going back, looking
ingredients.
at the ingredients. So that's all we have for this week, and I'm glad we got to do this episode because I really wanted to take a step back and just to be open and honest with people, and for people to know, because one of the people, like I said at the beginning of the show, not only do people look at us as sort of like, oh, you've got it all figured out. We don't have it all figured out. We have problems. We have things that we struggle with that are harder for us to do. And like I said in a couple other things, the world makes it hard for us. So there is all, you have to find the time. You
Well,
have to find
but
try.
also saying about it being hard for us, it should be a little easier for us because this is what we're educated in.
It is.
Okay. So if I went to go do an accountant job and it's going to be hard. So you're coming in doing a personal training job or a fitness,
Mm-hmm.
so it does need to be hard. I mean, I hate to, pick your hards and things like that.
Right.
Um, if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it and everybody'd be great at it. We'd all be happy with our bodies, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But again, just remember that just because it's hard doesn't mean you give up on it.
No.
It's just like education, anything else that you do.
Right. And you, let's face it,
Mm-hmm.
education for all of us, and whether it was learning how to add in second grade or taking my CPT,
Mm-hmm.
at some point, all of that was hard for me.
Right.
Like if I had to go and retake it right now, yeah, I'd probably
Right.
breeze through it because I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot more since I've
Yeah.
done that.
But I don't like to take it away from them that it is easier for us. I'm not going to lie.
No,
it is easier
right,
for us because we're educated in it and because we've been following these habits for a long
but
period of
my
time.
point is that even us who are educated in hard,
We
and
still
yes,
have
it is easier.
struggles.
There are
Yeah.
things we struggle with. Maybe it's not some people who struggle with consistency. Let's face it, you and I, especially you and I, have that down pretty well. But these other little things that we struggle with, And yes, they are the little things, but they are little things that can add
Mm-hmm.
up. And again, we talk about this about this journey not being just about looking better,
Oh,
but
no.
but
Yeah.
also feeling better and feeling better
Mental.
mentally. And not only this, one of the things that you, me, Carol, and even Laura to some extent when she was the co-host of the show, who even though she's a little younger than us, we want to feel better as we get older.
Oh, yes.
You know, we part of the reason I'm not going to get into a whole lot of detail, but that Carol isn't here this week is because she is dealing with her parents' health. Those are things that I don't want my kids to have to deal with
Mm-hmm.
because I'm dealing it with my father. So if we do these little things that we're talking about right now, they add up to big results down the road.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind next time you want to skip something that you deem as little. So that's all we have for this week. I want to thank Cameron one more time for coming on and joining and
My
helping
pleasure.
us. Hopefully we'll be back here next week.
Am I back here next week?
Would you like to be back here
I
next
think
week?
I'm back here next week.
Sweet. Then I'll give you a choice of topics tomorrow night. This week. Do you want to
Choice.
talk about toxic gym culture,
Ooh.
or do you want to talk? And I like that one. Or do you want to talk about what was the other one I just had thought of? Oh, the other one that I want to talk about is the little things.
I want the little things.
You want to talk about the little things? Cool.
Yeah, because my gym's perfect. There's no toxic.
There isn't. There isn't. This is the least toxic gym, and I've told you that to your again. I've told her that off camera. I was like, you'd be surprised versus some of the other
I pay
gyms.
people to smile.
So we're going to talk about little things and how little how little things that add up, and B, when we need to focus on the little things.
Okay.
So those are going to be the two topics, and we're going to talk about a couple of those little things.
I think that's
next
a good
week.
follow-up for our 5.
Cool. Yeah. So we will join us next week. Until then, check out Cameron at modelafitness.com, Model A Fitness on Facebook and Instagram. Check me out, dwebster023 on Instagram, Rockstar Fitness on Facebook, and Coach Dave's Country Kitchen on YouTube. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen, woo!